If we as a nation had spent as much time lifting up others as we did thinking of cruel, imaginative ways to put them down, we'd be much farther as a nation. And we're never gonna be that city upon the hill until we get there. The Jim Crow Museum of Racist Imagery at Ferris State University has the nation's largest collection of race-based objects. We use them as teaching tools. I have found that there are no more powerful teaching tools than the objects that we have. They help us talk about race, race relations, and racism. It doesn't have to be a racist object to be in here, but it has to help us talk about it. Fortunately, though, I think that's not the only part of the story, because we also want to show how African Americans, through their achievement, through their activism, and through living their lives with dignity, fought back against these objects and the ideas that are embedded in these objects. At the Jim Crow Museum, we focus a lot on caricatures. And by the way, a caricature is not the same as a stereotype. A caricature would be Mammy, or Tom, or Sambo, or Coon. In other words, it's this way of reducing, in a racial way, reducing African Americans to like a single image or trait, which then is accompanied by certain stereotypes. It was common for the larger society to see African Americans as not intelligent, not courageous, not ambitious, quite frankly, not first-class, first-rate citizens, and it became a justification for mistreating them. The objects in the museum both reflect and shaped attitudes toward African Americans. By reflected, what I mean is, portraying African Americans as a mammy, for example, which is a fictional, non-historical kind of thing in the first place, but that reflected the idea, this romanticized idea that white Americans had about African Americans. But it also helped shape the idea that there are only certain jobs that African Americans are capable of doing, and one of those is being, working in someone else's home. I wrote the book Understanding Jim Crow to talk to people about my journey, because it's certainly an unusual journey in the sense of collecting objects that were meant for harm and trying to find a way to use them to make this country better. But also wanted to share, some of the lessons that I'd learned as the director of the Jim Crow Museum in terms of some of the caricatures and stereotypes. But really what I want to do is to help generate, a discussion about the objects. Yes, so the fact that we use objects of intolerance to teach tolerance feels to some people as counterintuitive. They think, okay, this is, if you show a heavily caricatured image of an African American, it's really negative. They're like, well, how is this useful? Well, we can talk about the ideas that help shape it, the social background of the objects, or we can talk about or try to get people to understand what the objects reflect, because representation does matter. So again, we use them. It's kind of weird to say this, but almost like a show and tell, as a way to explore what's behind the object. Yeah, our purpose here at the museum is to get people to have intelligent conversations. I mean, people always say, well, words don't matter, but absolutely they do. And we're in education, we're in higher education, we believe in the triumph of dialogue. And we believe we can learn about our past and that can help us understand the present and the future. It's in part here because I'm here, because my collection was used as the original collection, and because it was possible here. I mean, Ferris State, our founder was a racial justice advocate before that was even a real thing. I think what we're doing here is consistent with our founder, and it was possible here. It's an interesting thing. People they first say, well, the Jim Crow Museum should be down south, or they'll say it should be at a historically black college. This is a museum about racists and race relations. It should be exactly where it is. We're going to move into a standalone facility right at the entrance of campus. The goal is to move there by spring of 2025. I have not been this excited about anything in my life because our current facility displays probably 8,000 pieces. We're going to display 30,000 pieces. So we'll do some of the same things in that new facility we do here. So we already do trainings for police officers. We meet with politicians. We meet with church groups and others. If you name a collection of professional people in a community, we do programming for them. We'll do more of that. In terms of corporations, you know, I imagine or am envisioning us doing 1 day, 2 day, 3 day conferences, and so that the conversations that we need to have and that they need to have, that we can help facilitate those. So we're already doing that good work. We want to do more of that work. And quite frankly, we've outgrown our current space. It's a $22 million project. No check is too large or small. And so a person need only contact the museum if they want to contribute. I think this will be the kind of facility that people will be proud to contribute to. I think despite what's in it, when people leave, what they'll really feel is a sense of hope for a better country. So don't be afraid to help us. Because I think that when it's about race, you know, and whether we're dealing with shareholders or board or trustee members, when it's about race, we get afraid. And in our case, we have a brand, and we've built up a brand. We have a reputation that we've earned as being serious about discussion. We're not polemicists who are just somewhere arguing. I mean, we're facilitating real good discussion, so don't be afraid to help. We're going to get an opportunity to really show how African Americans use their activism and achievements to push back against Jim Crow. And we're going to finish the storytelling in there with a huge section on challenging people, on what is it I need to do as an individual, what is it my state needs, what is it we need to do as a nation, so that we're not having the same kind of conversations 100 years from now.